For lesson 5.6a, we're going to be solving equations with rational numbers. So it makes sense for us to do 5.7 before 5.6 because in 5.7 we were working on dividing fractions and mixed numbers, and today we're going to use multiplication and division to solve equations. So it made sense for us to do these in a little bit different order. The words multiplicative inverse and reciprocal both mean the same thing. So if I have a number 3/4, the reciprocal or multiplicative inverse is 4/3. So for example, 3/4 times 4/3, what happens when you do that is the 3's go to 1's, the 4's go to 1's, and you end up with 1/1, which equals 1. So that's what we mean by multiplicative inverse. It's a way for us to get rid of a fraction or a rational number out in front of a variable. So like in this example today, 3/4 times a equals 9. Well, normally we would divide by whatever the coefficient is, but we know that we learned in lesson 7 that when you divide by a fraction, really that's like multiplying by the reciprocal. And so when we do that, we cancel the 4's, cancel the 3's. As we proved over here, we get 1. So a equals, now whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So we write times 4/3 over there. Then we write this as a fraction, as 9/1. The 3 goes to a 1, the 9 goes to a 3, and then you can multiply across, which gives us 12/1, and 12/1 equals 12. So a would be equal to 12 here. And so 3/4 of 12 equals 9, and that makes sense. So this is kind of why we did those in a different order, did lesson 7 before lesson 6. So let's go and do a couple examples. Here it just asks us to write the multiplicative inverse of 4/7. So for your homework, you're just going to write 4/7, you're going to draw an arrow, and you're going to write 7/4. That's it. Just practicing writing the reciprocal and writing the multiplicative inverse. Now find the multiplicative inverse of 6 1/4. So now we have a mixed number. So we know we have to get this into an improper fraction. So multiply 6 times 4, add the 24. 6 times 4 is 24, so we add it, so we get 25/4. And now we can write the multiplicative inverse or the reciprocal, and there's my answer. This is all the work that I would expect to see for your homework. For example 3, now we need to copy this down. 11 equals p over 6. Now when you're doing your homework tonight, I know a lot of you usually, if this is the red margin line, I know a lot of you usually put the number and the problem right next to that line. For tonight's homework, it's important that you move away from that line a little bit, give yourself some room over here, because we're going to actually be showing steps over here and over here. I know normally we show all of our work going down, but for today's lesson there's going to be a little bit of a step right next to it, and we want to be able to have some room here. So make sure you give yourself room while you're doing the homework today. Since right here we're dividing by 6, the opposite of that is to multiply by 6, and we're going to write 6/1 because this is written as a fraction, so we're going to write 6 as a fraction. Over here you can just write normal 6 because we don't have a fraction over there. The 6's are going to cancel, and so I'm going to be left with p equals 66. Now you can check this answer by putting it in up here for p. 66 divided by 6 is 11, so that works. Again, you know, this would be a 1, this would be a 1. So p times 1 is p. 1 times 1 is 1. P divided by 1 is just plain p. So that's how we went from right here to there. For example 4, again, copy the problem. Give yourself some room on the left when you're doing your homework. M divided by 9 equals 4. Since we're dividing by 9, we're going to multiply by 9/1. And then whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. I'm not writing it as a fraction over here because I didn't have a fraction. The 9's are going to cancel, and so I'm left with m equals 36. And I can check that. 36 divided by 9 does equal 4, so that works. All right, so now y divided by 6.4 equals 2.7. Now, we're going to multiply by 6.4 over 1 because we're dividing, so to undo division, you must multiply. So over here, we're going to multiply by 6.4. The 6.4s over here cancel, so I'm left with y equals, and now if you want to jump on your calculator, you can. We get 2.7 times 6.4, and that gives us 17.28. And if you want to, now we can check it. You already have 17.28 in your calculator. Go ahead and divide by 6.4 because y is 17.28 divided by 6.4 equals 2.7. So it all works out. All right, now we're going to have a fraction on both sides. So we're going to go with 2/5 x equals 6/15. Again, make sure you give yourself some room while you're doing your homework. Now, normally, right here, we're actually multiplying 2/5 times x. So normally, when you're doing multiplication, you divide by the coefficient. And right now, the coefficient is 2/5. Well, from lesson 7, we know that we don't like to divide by fractions. So instead of dividing by a fraction, we will multiply by the reciprocal. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other to keep it equal. The 5's here are going to cancel. The 2's will cancel. And we're left with x. Up here, you need to simplify. The 5 will go to a 1, 15 to a 3. 2 to a 1, 6 to a 3. So you're going to end up with 3 over 3, which equals 1. And what that means is 2/5 actually equals 6/15 because 2/5 times 1 equals 6/15. Well, that seems kind of funny, but look here, if you multiply by 3 on top and bottom, and 3 over 3 is equal to 1, so really these two ratios are equal to each other. All right, so again, copy the problem. 3/8 times x equals 3/4. Now, we would normally divide by the coefficient, but the coefficient this time is a fraction. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So 8's will cancel, 3's will cancel. I'm left with x. Here, the 3's will cancel. The 4 will go to a 1. The 8 will go to a 2. So I'm left with 2 over 1, which equals 2. So here x equals 2, so this is twice as large as this one, which makes sense because the denominator got twice as small, which means these pieces are twice as large. Because if I just multiply the top by 2, I'd get 6/8, and 6/8 could be simplified to 3/4. In today's homework, you will have a worksheet, so be sure to check the answer key I've loaded online. Also, if you want to look at some more examples of this, check the online tutors. And when we get to the book assignment, the step-by-step homework helper should be able to help us out.